I was so ready for this promotion. 6 years at Horizon Technologies. And finally, my hard work was about to pay off. Project Phoenix was my ticket to the VP position, and my best friend Adam had been in my corner the whole time. My girlfriend Hannah kept telling me this was my moment. The corner office was within reach. I never saw it coming, not from him. Before I tell you how my best friend destroyed my career and what I did to turn things around, let me know where you are watching from, and hit that subscribe button if you have ever been blindsided by someone you trusted. Life was going pretty well for me before everything fell apart. At 33 years old, I had established myself as a solid software engineer at Horizon Technologies in San Francisco. I had come a long way from my small Midwestern hometown in Ohio. My parents had always hoped I would stay close to home, maybe take over my dad's hardware store, but I had bigger dreams. Silicon Valley was calling, and I answered. Horizon Technologies had become my second home. I was usually the first one in and the last one out. Weekends. Those were just extra work days for me when deadlines loomed. My colleagues often joked that I must have a sleeping bag hidden somewhere in the office. They were not entirely wrong. There had been plenty of nights when I crashed on the office couch rather than making the 40-minute drive back to my apartment. Being the nice guy has always been my default setting. Conflict makes me uncomfortable. Throughout my career, I would rather stay late fixing someone else's mistake than confront them about it. This approach earned me respect from my peers, but sometimes meant I got taken advantage of. I never thought my best friend would be the one to exploit this trait the most. I met Adam during orientation at Horizon 7 years ago. We clicked immediately, despite having completely different personalities. Where I was reserved and analytical, he was outgoing and charismatic. My technical skills complemented his people skills perfectly. We became the dynamic duo of the engineering department. I would build the solutions, and he would sell them to clients and management. Our friendship extended well beyond the office walls. Every Wednesday, we would meet for basketball at the local gym, joined by a rotating cast of colleagues and friends. Fridays meant happy hour at the Rusty Nail, a dive bar 3 blocks from the office. Adam knew the bartender by name and could always score us the corner booth even when the place was packed. Over the years, we had helped each other through some tough times. When my grandmother passed away, Adam drove me to the airport at 4 in the morning so I could catch the first flight home for the funeral. When his engagement fell apart, I let him crash on my couch for 2 weeks while he pulled himself together. We were more like brothers than colleagues. Despite having less technical expertise than me, Adam had moved into a team leader role faster. His ability to work a room and speak the language of upper management had accelerated his rise. I never resented this. We each had our strengths, and I was content being the technical wizard behind the curtain. Or so I thought. Project Phoenix was the biggest thing to hit Horizon Technologies in years. A $3.5 million contract with NextGen Industries, one of the largest healthcare providers in the country. They needed a complete overhaul of their patient management system, and our company had beaten out several larger competitors for the job. The CEO had made it clear that this project could determine the future of our company. The project team was assembled with care. I was named technical lead, responsible for the architecture and implementation of the system. Adam was appointed project manager, overseeing the timeline, budget, and client communications. It felt like the perfect arrangement. What made this project even more significant was the VP position that would open up upon completion. Our current Vice President of Engineering had announced his retirement time to coincide with the end of Project Phoenix. Everyone in the company understood that the success of the project would likely determine who got the promotion. This promotion meant everything to me. Hannah and I had been together for 3 years, and we were ready to take the next step. Housing prices in the Bay Area are insane, and the VP salary would finally put home ownership within reach. We had our eyes on a cozy 3-bedroom in the Oakland Hills, with a view of the bay that took your breath away. Beyond the money, I wanted the validation. For years, I had watched others get promoted while I remained the reliable workhorse. My parents were planning to visit in a few months, and I wanted to show them that their son had made something of himself. Dad had always been skeptical about my move to California. Landing this promotion would prove that my choice had been the right one. The first few months of Project Phoenix were exhilarating. I developed an innovative approach to data migration that would save next-gen thousands of hours in manual entry and potential errors. When I presented the solution to the client, they were visibly impressed. That evening, Adam organized a team celebration dinner at an upscale steakhouse. He raised his glass and toasted me in front of everyone. To Norman, he said, "The brilliant mind that makes the rest of us look good. NextGen does not know how lucky they are to have him on this project." I felt on top of the world. Upper management was starting to notice our progress. The CEO himself stopped by my desk to congratulate me on the data migration strategy. Everything seemed to be falling into place. Hannah was my rock during the intense work periods. She would bring dinner to the office when I worked late and acted as my sounding board when I hit technical roadblocks. Her background in user experience design meant she often had insights that helped me refine the interface. We made a great team both at home and professionally. Looking back, I should have seen the warning signs. But when you trust someone completely, you tend to ignore the red flags until it is too late. The first hint that something was off came about 4 months into the project. I noticed I had been missing from several email chains discussing critical design decisions. When I asked Adam about it, he shrugged it off. "Just trying to minimize distractions for you, buddy," he said with that easy smile of his. "You have enough on your plate with the coding. I figured I would handle the administrative stuff." It seemed reasonable enough at the time. But then I noticed Adam taking private meetings with executives. These were not on his calendar, and when I asked about them, he was uncharacteristically vague. "Just keeping them updated on our progress," he would say. "Nothing to worry about." One afternoon, I was heading to the break room when I overheard a conversation between Adam and the Director of Human Resources. They were discussing repositioning team roles for the final phase of Project Phoenix. My name was mentioned, but they lowered their voices when they realized I was nearby. When I told Hannah about my concerns that evening, she suggested I might be paranoid from working too many hours. "You have been pulling 80-hour weeks for months," she said, massaging my tense shoulders. "Maybe you are reading too much into things. Adam is your best friend. He would never undermine you." I wanted to believe her. But the incidents kept piling up. One Monday morning, I discovered that a key piece of my code had been altered over the weekend. The changes were subtle but significant, implementing an approach I had explicitly argued against during a team meeting. When I brought it up with Adam, he claimed the client had requested the change directly. "They called me Saturday morning," he explained. "I tried to reach you, but you must have had your phone off. I checked my call history. No missed calls from Adam." The most blatant betrayal came during a client presentation in month 5. Adam was walking the next-gen executive team through our progress, showing off the user interface I had designed. Except he never once acknowledged my role in creating it. Every feature was presented as my design and my implementation. I sat there stunned into silence as my work was claimed by my supposed best friend. Afterward, several colleagues treated me differently. Some avoided eye contact, while others seemed overly sympathetic. They knew something I did not. The atmosphere in the office had shifted, and I felt increasingly isolated. The stress began to affect every aspect of my life. I lost 12 pounds in 3 weeks. Sleep became elusive, with my mind racing through worst-case scenarios each night. Hannah grew frustrated with my constant preoccupation with work politics. "You talk about nothing else anymore," she complained one night, after I spent our entire dinner date analyzing Adam's behavior. "I feel like I am dating Project Phoenix, not you." Our first serious fight erupted when she suggested I confront Adam directly or let it go. She did not understand why I could not simply address the issue head-on. But years of avoiding conflict had left me ill-equipped to handle such a confrontation, especially with someone I had trusted implicitly. Then came the smoking gun. I was accidentally copied on an email from Adam to the CEO. In it, Adam expressed concerns about Norman's contributions to the project. He described my work as technically adequate but lacking vision. He suggested that the final phase would benefit from a stronger architectural direction, which of course he was prepared to provide. My hands shook as I read the message. This was not a misunderstanding. This was a calculated attempt to undermine me and position himself for the VP promotion. Further investigation revealed altered project documentation that minimized my role. Commits to our code repository that had originally been mine were now showing Adam's name. He had been systematically erasing my contributions while building himself up as the project savior. I discovered that Adam had been meeting privately with the current VP for what he called mentorship sessions. In reality, he had been carefully laying the groundwork for his promotion, making sure his name was the one associated with every project's success. When I finally confronted Adam in the parking garage after work, his response left me cold. "You are misunderstanding the situation," he said, not quite meeting my eyes. "This is business, Norman. Nothing personal. Nothing personal. 7 years of friendship." And he could dismiss his betrayal as just business. My relationship with Hannah deteriorated as my obsession with Adam's betrayal grew. She could not understand why I did not simply go to HR or the CEO. From her perspective, I was allowing myself to be victimized. The truth was more complicated. Without hard evidence, it would be my word against Adam's. And he had spent months building alliances throughout the company. The stress manifested physically. Beyond the weight loss, I developed persistent headaches and a nervous tic in my right eye. My doctor suggested anti-anxiety medication, which I refused. I needed to stay sharp. Most painful was the isolation from my team members. People I had worked alongside for years now kept their distance. Some had clearly bought into Adam's narrative that I was losing my edge. Others simply wanted to avoid being caught in the crossfire of workplace drama. Everything came to a head during the final client presentation. I had prepared detailed slides showing the technical architecture, complete with benchmarks demonstrating the system's performance. When I arrived at the conference room, Adam informed me that the agenda had changed. "We are short on time," he explained. "I will handle the technical overview. You just jump in if they have specific questions." For 90 minutes I sat silently as Adam presented my work as his own. He used my slides but had removed my name from them. He explained my algorithms as if he had developed them. When a client asked a detailed technical question, Adam called on me as if I were simply a subject matter expert rather than the architect of the entire system. The worst moment came when I tried to clarify a point about the database structure. Adam gently but firmly corrected me in front of everyone. "Actually, Norman, that is not how we designed it," he said with a patronizing smile. "Remember, we changed that approach last month." We had made no such change. But the clients nodded, accepting his version. The executives in the room looked at me with mild disapproval for apparently not keeping up with my own project. My humiliation was complete. The breaking point came 1 week later. A company-wide email announced Adam's promotion to Vice President of Engineering, effective immediately. The message praised his visionary leadership on Project Phoenix and his innovative technical solutions that had won over the client. There was no mention of me at all. 6 years at the company, endless nights and weekends sacrificed for this project, and I might as well have been invisible. A congratulatory lunch was organized for Adam. I learned about it when I overheard 2 colleagues discussing what gift to bring. I had not been invited. When I told Hannah about the promotion that evening, her response was not what I expected. "Norman, I think you need to let this go," she said softly. "For your own mental health. Adam got the promotion. It is not fair, but continuing to dwell on it is only hurting you." Her words felt like another betrayal. The one person I thought would stand by me was suggesting I simply accept the injustice. The argument that followed was ugly. Words were said that could not be taken back. Hannah left to stay with a friend, saying she needed space to think. The next day, I locked myself in a bathroom stall at work and broke down completely. 7 years of hard work, a relationship with the woman I loved, my self-respect all gone. I cried until I had nothing left, then washed my face and returned to my desk as if nothing had happened. That night I stayed late at the office, long after everyone else had gone home. With the system admin password I had from my role as technical lead, I accessed the backup server where all previous versions of project files were stored. There I found the original documentation with my name clearly listed as the architect and lead developer. But I found something else too. Accessing Adam's personal drive out of desperate curiosity, I discovered copies of my original design documents with the dates altered. There were screenshots of my code with my name removed. Most damning of all, there was a series of emails between Adam and another colleague, outlining a deliberate strategy to minimize my contributions, while gradually taking credit for my work. The evidence was overwhelming. This was not opportunism or misunderstanding. This was a calculated months-long campaign to steal my work and push me aside. The next day, Sarah, a junior developer who had joined the team in the final phase, approached me cautiously at the coffee machine. "I know what Adam did," she said, keeping her voice low. "He told us not to acknowledge your contributions during meetings. Said it was part of a larger strategy to restructure the team. It never felt right to me." Her confession confirmed what I already knew, but somehow made it more real. Other people had seen what was happening and said nothing. The betrayal extended beyond Adam to an entire office culture that rewarded his behavior. That night, Hannah called to tell me she was moving out. She could not handle my obsession with workplace politics any longer. She needed someone who could leave work at work. "I love you, Norman," she said, her voice breaking. "But I cannot watch you self-destruct over this." The following day, driven by a combination of desperation and rage, I confronted Adam in his new corner office. The conversation quickly devolved into a shouting match. "You stole my work," I yelled past caring who might hear. "Everything in that project was my design, my code, my solutions." Adam's face hardened. "Prove it," he said coldly. "Everyone knows. I led that project from concept to delivery. Your word against mine. And quite frankly, you have not been yourself lately. People have noticed." 2 hours later, I was called into human resources. Adam had filed a complaint about my erratic behavior and concerning emotional outbursts. I was being placed on performance review with the implication that my future at the company was in jeopardy. I had hit rock bottom. My professional reputation was in tatters. My relationship was over. My best friend had betrayed me and was now actively working to push me out of the company. I seriously considered quitting. What was the point of fighting against such overwhelming odds? But fate had other plans. That weekend, while numbly going through the motions of normal life, I stopped at a coffee shop I rarely visited. There, by pure coincidence, I ran into Thomas Weber, the founder of Horizon Technologies, who had stepped back from day-to-day operations years earlier but remained on the board. He recognized me and asked how Project Phoenix had turned out. When I gave a non-committal answer, he sensed something was wrong. Before I knew it, I was telling him everything. He listened without interruption, his expression growing increasingly troubled. "This is not the company I built," he said finally. "Send me what you have. All of it. I will make some calls." That same weekend, I received an unexpected call from my former mentor at a previous job. He had heard I was struggling and reached out. His advice was simple but powerful. "Stop thinking like a victim and start thinking like a strategist," he said. "Document everything. Build allies. Present your case professionally without emotion. Make this about the integrity of the work, not personal grievances." Between Thomas's support and my mentor's advice, I found new resolve. I would not go down without a fight, but I would fight smart, not angry. The final piece fell into place when Sarah, the junior developer, approached me again. She had kept her own records of team meetings and had emails proving Adam had instructed the team to remove my name from documentation. "What he did was wrong," she said simply. "I cannot stand by and watch." With allies emerging and evidence mounting, I made a decision. I would fight back not for the promotion that was already gone, but for my reputation and for justice. I approached my counterattack methodically, the way I would tackle any engineering problem. First, I compiled comprehensive documentation of my code authorship. Every commit to the repository had timestamps and digital signatures that could prove I had written the core algorithms. I pulled server logs showing when files had been altered and by whom. Instead of going to human resources, which had already shown its allegiance to Adam, I requested a meeting with the company's legal counsel. I positioned my concern not as a personal grievance but as a potential liability issue for the company. If a client ever discovered that the person credited with designing their system was not actually the designer, it could damage Horizon's credibility and potentially violate contract terms. The legal counsel took my concerns seriously. She requested all my evidence and promised to review it thoroughly. Meanwhile, I built alliances strategically. I reached out to Samir in IT security, who had access to server logs that could verify when and how documentation had been altered. He had always respected my technical abilities and was disturbed by what I showed him. "This is not just about you," he said after reviewing the evidence. "This is about the integrity of our work. If we cannot trust project documentation, we have bigger problems." I crafted my case carefully, removing emotional language and focusing solely on verifiable facts. I created a timeline showing the evolution of Project Phoenix with clear documentation of who had contributed what at each stage. I included testimonials from team members who were willing to speak up about the direction they had received to minimize my contributions. When the formal review meeting was scheduled, I was ready. The panel included the CEO, the legal counsel Thomas Weber, and 2 other board members. Adam sat across from me looking confident at first, but his expression changed as I methodically presented my evidence. I showed original design documents with my name, followed by later versions where my name had been removed. I presented server logs showing when and how these changes had been made. I played a recorded meeting where I clearly explained the architecture that Adam later claimed as his own. Adam attempted to deny everything at first. When that failed, he tried to deflect, suggesting that leadership involved synthesizing others' ideas. When faced with the emails outlining his deliberate strategy to take credit for my work, he claimed they were being taken out of context. The turning point came when Sarah and 2 other developers testified about Adam's instructions to remove my name from documentation and to direct all technical questions to him rather than me during client meetings. Their testimony was damning. Most shocking of all was the revelation that this was not the first time Adam had done this. A former colleague from his previous company had experienced something similar and had reached out to me after hearing rumors about what was happening at Horizon. She provided emails showing an almost identical pattern of behavior. The meeting lasted 4 hours. By the end, Adam's carefully constructed narrative had completely unraveled. The CEO looked physically ill as he realized the extent of the deception that had occurred under his nose. The next day, Adam was terminated for ethics violations. His personal belongings were packed up by HR while he was escorted from the building. The official communication cited violations of company values and professional standards. 1 week later, I was called into the CEO's office. He offered me the VP position along with a formal apology for what had happened. NextGen had been informed of the situation and had specifically requested that I be their primary contact going forward. They valued authenticity and were disturbed by the misrepresentation. My professional vindication was complete. The restructured engineering team would emphasize collaboration over competition with new protocols for documenting contributions. I was given freedom to implement changes that would prevent similar situations in the future. But the victory came with significant personal costs. Hannah did not come back. She called to congratulate me when she heard the news, but maintained that our relationship had exposed fundamental differences in our values. She needed someone less consumed by work and professional standing. I could not blame her. My feelings about the promotion were more complicated than I had expected. There was satisfaction in being recognized for my work, but it was tinged with sadness for the friendship I had lost and the relationship that had ended. My colleagues treated me with new respect, but also a certain wariness, as if my experience with Adam had changed me in their eyes. In the months that followed, I focused on rebuilding trust within the team. I implemented transparent documentation practices and made sure every team member's contributions were acknowledged. I found meaning in creating a more ethical workplace. One where what had happened to me could not easily happen to someone else. I also had to confront my own role in allowing the betrayal to progress as far as it did. My conflict avoidance had made me an easy target. By not speaking up sooner, I had enabled Adam's behavior. It was a painful but necessary realization. Over time, the raw wound of betrayal began to heal. I reconnected with old friends outside of work. I took up rock climbing, finding peace in the focus it required. I started seeing a therapist to work through the lingering trust issues. The experience changed me fundamentally. I learned that success without integrity is hollow. The corner office means nothing if you betray your values to get there. I discovered strength I did not know I possessed. Sometimes it takes a crisis to reveal what we are truly capable of. I became meticulous about documentation and clear boundaries. Every project now includes explicit credit for all contributors. The painful lesson had transformed into professional wisdom I could share with others. As for Adam, I heard he struggled to find another position in the industry. Word had spread about what had happened. While I once might have taken satisfaction in this, now, I mostly felt pity. What kind of emptiness must drive someone to build their success on stealing from others? I sometimes wonder if I could have prevented the whole situation by being more assertive from the beginning. But dwelling on that is not productive. The past cannot be changed, only learned from. The betrayal forced me to define what truly matters to me. It is not titles or promotions, but doing work I am proud of and being recognized fairly for it. It is building a team where everyone can contribute and shine. It is standing up for what is right even when it is difficult. I had always defined myself as the nice guy, the one who avoids conflict at all costs. Now I know that true kindness includes standing up for yourself and others. You can be both strong and compassionate. The two are not mutually exclusive. Have you ever had to stand up against someone who betrayed your trust? What did you learn from that experience? Let me know in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe to hear more real-life experiences. Share this video with someone who might be going through something similar right now. Sometimes knowing you are not alone in your struggles makes all the difference. Thank you for listening to my story, and remember that sometimes our most painful experiences become our greatest teachers.